Over the past few months, a lot of exciting news across the Namibian market. Potential for green hydrogen over the next few years. I believe feasibility study is going to be conducted from the end of this year, and potential production 2026, 2027, we're not too certain. We have significant oil discoveries across the market, and of course murmurings around finally developing the gas projects. A lot of good narratives for long-term growth. Talk to me about short-term economic activity. Where do you see it across the market?
Well, the Namibian economy has been recovering from its pandemic lows. In 2021, we saw that the economy grew by 2.4% versus the 8% contraction that we saw in 2020. So we are seeing the economy start to open up and economic activity start to improve. What we expect moving forward is that growth will average around 3.5% over the next 3 years. And it's very much a mining story, as it's very characteristic of the Namibian economy. And we expect quite a significant ramp up in production of diamonds. And we also expect that there will be improvements in the renewable energy infrastructure space. We are seeing that our power utility has put investments, capital expenditure into that sector. So we do expect some recovery to come from there. And then, of course, our tourism sector, which we expect to recover over the course of this year. We are already seeing occupancy rates increase to quite healthy levels. So those are the sectors that will sort of drive growth in the short-term period.
Yeah, sure. Tourism, of course, been very important for foreign exchange across the market. One sector that we think potentially is ramping up is the logistics sector. Are you seeing additional cargo maybe at the port or increased traffic across the roads?
Yeah, so cargo forms part of our transport index. And what we're seeing is that index has increased by 11%. So we are seeing a ramp up in activity in that sector. And of course, with the mining production coming through, we do expect that to spill over then into the transport sector. We are also expecting our electricity sector to do quite well. In the first quarter, it increased by about 9%. And with the investments in the renewable energy space, we do expect that that will benefit the electricity sector as well.
So export-led growth and reinvestments into the Namibian economy, that should sustain, economic activity in the short term. But I'm sure there are risks to this, as there are with everything. What are your top risks for the Namibian economy?
So for the Namibian economy, the risk is really on the consumption side, as is happening globally and regionally. We are seeing increase in inflation. We have seen that our fuel prices have increased massively over the past year. Our fuel prices are about 60% higher than they were last year. That is, of course, driven by global developments in the oil price. And what we're also seeing is that our food prices are increasing as well. And that is adding to inflation, which, of course, has an impact on the consumption side, particularly for your lower income households whose consumption baskets are weighted to those items.
Yeah.
What we're also expecting is this increase in interest rates that we're seeing globally as well. And that will, of course, also affect households from a disposable income perspective, because more of their income will have to go towards interest payments. So those are really the two risks that we're seeing very much on the consumption side, driven by inflation and interest rates.
So high interest rates at a time when growth really is still quite frail.
Yeah.
The credit extension in the market, how's it looking in terms of forecast next few years? I mean, do we expect people to start picking up appetite anytime soon, and potentially in what segments of the market?
So what we've seen is that credit has been quite constrained, both from an individual's perspective and a business perspective.
Yeah.
In 2021, we saw that credit extension remained pretty much below 3%. And if you compare that to the pre-pandemic levels, it was around 6-7%. So you can see quite a significant slowdown in credit extension. And of course, with the interest rate hikes that we do expect, we expect that will have quite a significant downward effect on the credit extension that we're seeing in the private sector. So we still do expect that to be quite constrained over the course of this year. Obviously, with some improvement compared to last year, we will expect credit to be a little bit higher than it was last year, but not anywhere close to the pandemic levels or pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah. And I think it's quite a difficult situation, like you said, for that consumptive function of the economy. What does that tell you, though, around the labor market? Do we have any statistics that are telling us whether employment is improving? Is it going back to pre-pandemic levels? What can we use as a gauge here?
Yeah. So we don't have, unfortunately, in Namibia, updated official labor force statistics. But what we are seeing anecdotally is that there have been wage cuts in the market. That, of course, again, affects your disposable income. We also saw during the pandemic that there were significant retrenchments that actually spilled over into 2021, not just into 2020. And of course, with the economy not having a broad-based recovery, we do not expect that those jobs will necessarily come back over the next 3 years. So we do expect that the labor market will be quite tight in the sense that we won't have as many job openings and we won't have as high wages. In fact, when we look at our national employee compensation figures, we are seeing that if we look at the real figures, so taking out inflation, that has contracted by about 3.6% in 2021. So that really gives you an indication that the labor market is not improving to the pace that we would want it to improve.